Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anneli and I live in Sweden. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you are an old follower, I want to say thank you, and I hope you will find something I do today new and inspiring. So the last time we met, I did some painting, and I'm going to continue with that today. More textile painting, and this time I'm going to use some eco-dyed textile. These are prints that I have done on my textile with leaves, and now I have just outlined them with a pen, and we are going to give them some color. You can also use a stencil and do some pattern to paint, or make your own leaves. Go outside, take a leaf and put it on the textile and draw around it and use that as a stencil, and then you can paint some fun colors in it. So let's start with this one. I'm just going to take a paper and put that under it so it won't bleed through to my table. I'm going to give the leaves a little bit more color, so they are not so brown. I want them to be a bit more colorful, as I'm going to use this is in the flower journal. And maybe this piece will be a pocket in some journals, so I will paint that too. So let's get started, and I will show you how I do this. I'm using my watercolors, just a simple palette and a lot of different colors to play with. And make sure when you draw that you have a waterproof pen, because we are using water. You can of course use other inks or acrylic paint. Use what you have and try. This is just for fun, so you don't need to take it so serious and go and buy a lot of stuff. Play and have fun and see what you get. Let's take this smaller one and do this one first. And I think I will have some fun color. Should we go for turquoise? Maybe. So as this is textile, it will bleed a bit if you use too much water. So dry off your brush before you start painting. Make sure the paint is quite diluted, but don't use too much water on your brush. Then you won't be able to follow the lines. That isn't anything that is dangerous, but it's more fun if you can follow the line and you can see what you are supposed to paint. It's a bit more difficult when you have this line to follow. It's easier to paint first and draw the line afterwards. That way you can kind of decide if there is a bleed. It isn't so much to be sad about. You can just draw the line where the paint ended up. And the textiles soak much more than paper, so you need to have a lot of color on your brush. color but not so much water. So try this on some piece of textile before you go straight into your project. If you're unsure about how much water you have on your brush, start painting in the middle like this of a pattern. That way you can see if it bleeds, you have a little bit of time to maybe go in and dry with the paper. And when I need to use more water, I'm using also more color. Okay, I thought I could show you the difference between using a lot of water and not. So let's take this piece of textile and do 2 circles like this, maybe even 3. And let's dry it first and put on the color. Now you can see it start bleeding. That means I have too much water. So start in the middle and dab your way out if you're going to do something that is bigger and you have to keep inside the line. That way you can stop it if it starts to bleed. So let's take a lot of water and put down your brush. You can see it will fill up the circle and continue to bleed when you have too much water. So try on a piece of textile like this before you start painting, so you will get this amount of water in your brush. And you can see that it's almost just color on this one. You can see it's much stronger than this with a lot of water in it. So let's finish that lesson and go for a leaf. And let's go for a strong green one. I'm going to use a little bit of black into sap green. And then I'm starting in the middle. I need to have a bit more water on this one. It soaks really quickly. And if you're going to outline this or cut it out, you don't need to think so much about the edges. But if you're going to keep it on the textile and still want it to look nice, you need to be careful with the water. And you can see if you paint big leaves, it takes a while to cover all of it. But it's nice when it's done. Putting a bit of water down in the middle like this, so then it's easier to put on the color later on. But be careful not too near the edges. Let's do another one and go a little bit bigger. This time I'm going to put in brown too. I'm going for some water first. These are two leaves that are overlapping each other, so need to be a little bit careful. Now you can see the water is wandering around and will bleed. But it's okay. If you're going to cut it out, you don't need to think so much about that. Then you can just splash it on like this and let it be spreading. going for brown and greens, like it's a leaf on the autumn. And then this one will be a bit darker. You can still see the dark dots on it, so it's a bit difficult to see now when it's wet, but you can do some beautiful things with these textile pieces. It's just your imagination that is stopping you. So I think I will go back to the small one. Then you can of course do something like pink leaves. That can be fun. Totally crazy and fun. Maybe put in some blue. Use up your colors on the palette and just play. Some purple. This can be beautiful in a colorful journal. And then I'm going back and just doing maybe part of a leaf, doing it a little darker on one side so it gets some texture. You can scribble and write something, and you can do dots. And you can cut out parts of this and embroider them a bit easy onto, just sew them onto other pieces, and that can be really fun. Putting green and some brown in the middle and let it spread. Then I'm just adding water and let it go wherever it wants. And where you have done your scribbling, you can maybe just splash on some water and give it some splashes of color. Just for fun. I will for sure show you later on when I have started the journals how I can cut these out and put them in different places in the journal and make it beautiful. This I don't outline, I just add some color and let it spread, and then I can outline it afterwards instead, if I would like to. Something like that. So should we do another one, a white one? This is a print I did with my hammer and a loop-in. So this is actually, I put the loop-in on and another textile piece on top of it, and I hammer it down with my hammer. That way I get this nice print, and I can kind of scribble and do my loop-in. Just draw along the stem. Do the flower pattern, and that way it's easier to follow the outline of the flower. You have the color to go with, and you don't need to think so much. You can see how it's up build. You can just have fun with your pen. I have picked so much loop-ins when I have made watercolor paint this year, so I think I could draw one in my sleep. The last time I was going to go a walk with Nico, I said we can go and pick some flowers at the same time. But then the seagulls had got their children, and they attacked us with screaming, diving kind of. So Nico didn't like it, so we had to go home. he didn't like them screaming and going to dive on top of us, so I needed to follow him home. That was a bit exciting. So something like that, and then you have this typical leaf that lupins have. Kind of something like that. So then you can just go in. This is the same way that I did the cover for one of my journals. I got a question where I have bought the textile, so I needed to say sorry, I have painted this, so you can't buy it anyway. And then you can just fill this up like this, as you have the waterproof pen. And you can do the same way with leaves or other flowers. Take your hammer and hammer them down on a textile or a paper, and you can just follow the lines and make your own flowers. Doing a line of water in each of the petals, and then I'm just dabbing in some color and let it flow out. And then a little bit of green in the stem, and on the top they are often light green. like that. So I hope you liked these small tip on using more textile in your journals, because it makes them so much more fun. So if you're up to something difficult, no, something different that isn't difficult, you can just take a piece of white textile and have some fun. And you can of course do some more scribbly kind of, just don't need to make it look real. You just scribble and have fun. Or maybe make a little rose. Then you can just do a couple of C strokes and decide that this is a rose. Don't need to ask anyone. And then you can just put in some color and you have your rose. Now the bleed was a bit of bleeding from the pen. I was too quick. Didn't dry. But that doesn't matter. We can let it look like that and say that it's shadows. So that was all for tonight, and please go and play. This is so fun, and I will be back to do some more project for the journals. See you soon again. Bye bye from Sweden.